Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2, whatever you like to call it. Spelled PF2. It could be PF2. I love PF2. I just love that they keep coming out with more stuff to work with. So I am going over a War of Immortals Mythic Destiny today, Godling, because I think there's a lot of variation that you can do with it, and that's kind of my favorite thing to do. Tweaking what exists. So I'm not going to read the very lengthy intro that is just about famous people that are godlings, because it's already going to be long enough, and I don't want to run out of breath. Or, you know, get scratchy throat or something, and then I'm just talking like this the whole time and you can't understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to read each of these feats. I have something to say about all of them, and some of them a lot more than others. So utilize the chapters to skip around if you don't care about what I have to say about certain parts of it. Alright, Godling feats. Godling dedication. This is about eventually becoming a god, but in the meantime, you're just sort of changing into something otherworldly. Godling feats. Godling dedication, level 12 feat. Rare Destiny Mythic. Your calling allows you to begin walking the path to true deific ascension, inspiring followers as your divine seed grows. Your first follower is your Hierophant, the high priest of your new faith, whom you rely on to spread your word and provide an anchoring mortal presence as your perspectives are increasingly pulled toward the cosmic. When you gain this feat, choose one willing ally to be your Hierophant. If your Hierophant is not trained in spell attack modifier and spell DC, they become trained for as long as they are your designated Hierophant. If your Hierophant dies or chooses to part ways with you, you can designate a new Hierophant by communing with the chosen ally for a period of 24 hours. I like that this includes other people in your party. I also hate that it requires the use of someone else in your party. I mean, I just do. Like, that doesn't seem like it should be necessary as part of your own path. Why do you have to choose a Hierophant? Anyway, your calling allows you to seize the divine magic typically restricted to deities. Choose one domain to claim from the list on page 39 of Player Core or from other domains you have access to. So, just choose a domain. You learn the initial domain spell for this domain. You gain a pool of focus points with one focus point, and you can refocus by taking 10 minutes to replenish your divine energy from the planes beyond. You gain expert proficiency in spell modifier and spell DC, and your spellcasting ability for these spells is your choice of wisdom or charisma, decided when you gain this feat. I like that it immediately bumps you up to expert proficiency in spell modifier and spell DC because you're at 12th level. It's kind of necessary if you're going to use these things offensively. I wish it didn't restrict it to wisdom or charisma. I understand those are the deity things, but why not intelligence? Give me an argument for it. Or an argument against it. Like, charisma is force of will. Wisdom is how much, like, connection you have with awareness. Intelligence could be you've amassed so much knowledge that you're a deity of knowledge and books. And why would that not work? Your Hierophant also gains the cast a spell activity and can cast a domain spell you learned with Godling dedication. That's the point of having the Hierophant, that they can cast that same spell. But you still have to have a fellow player who's willing to work with you and, in a tacit way, serve you. When they cast a spell in this way, your focus point is expended as the cost of the spell. Your Hierophant uses their own spellcasting proficiency in spell modifier and spell DC when casting a spell in this way, and they use their own wisdom or charisma modifier matching your choice. If your Hierophant has mythic power, they can spend a mythic point to cast any divine spell they gain by being your Hierophant at mythic proficiency. So it's entirely possible that, like, you're a wizard, and for some reason you want to do this, and then you choose the bard in your party, and they are way the hell better at casting this spell than you. I think there needs to be another option for people who don't want to include their fellow players in their own archetype. Because if part of the ability or power of this archetype is helping someone else have power, they should be able to choose that themselves. Like, choose what they get instead of have to settle with your choice. Or you should just get a different benefit. Like, maybe that's not the path I want to go. Sure, I want to dip my toe into divine essence, but that doesn't mean I immediately want to follow her. I just want to understand what's the divine. Like, if you start a spiritual journey in real life, and you're like, what is in this book? What can I learn about these things? I will begin to try to speak to the beyond. You don't immediately get a follower. It's just weird. And a waste, in my opinion, of choosing the archetype, unless you can replace that with something else. Granted, for the people that want the Hierophant, great. It does fit the whole theme of, I want to be a deity that gets worshipped. But if you're not that person, and you still want to be able to access domain powers as a Mythic Destiny, and get some of these other abilities that are in these feats that are pretty cool, you don't necessarily want to be tied to a servitor divine blessing relationship. Next feat, level 14, claim Cardinal domains. Rare, Mythic, prerequisites, Godling dedication. That's the prerequisite on all of these, and they all have rare Mythic. Your dominion over the divine truths of the world increases. You can lay claim to up to 3 additional domains to a total maximum of 4. That's awesome. Your mortal form cannot easily contain such power, however. Each day during your daily preparations, decide which of your domains you are currently drawing power from. You gain access to this domain for the day and can cast its domain spells as normal, while your ability to access the power of your other domains lies dormant. Kind of boring. You learn the advanced domain spell for any domain that you have claimed with your godling abilities. They just slip that in. That is way powerful. Because you just suddenly gained access to 4 advanced domain powers and 3 new domains. You just gained access to 7 new different spells. Granted, you can't do them all during a day, but that's an unbelievable amount of flexibility, and this feat works well. This is a good power bump, and it's so much versatility. When you gain this feat, you can choose not to lay claim to 1 or more domains immediately, instead leaving the space open until later in your story, or if you just can't make up your damn mind. As long as you have 1 or more domains unclaimed, you can spend a mythic point as a single action to claim a domain, even in the heat of battle, immediately making this your active domain. This domain remains a part of your portfolio forever and cannot be changed after this point. You can also spend a mythic point to overcharge your divine power, gaining access to all the domains you have claimed for the next minute and passing this access on to your Hierophant as normal. After the minute ends, you can choose which of the 4 domains you retain access to until your next daily preparations. That flexibility at the end is nice, because you can just settle into whatever domain you want. I don't think it's all that necessary. But going back a moment, laying claim to a domain power as an action at a random time using a mythic point, I think is unnecessary. It's just more restrictions than are required. Like, I think it would be much more impressive to just say, you know what, I think I want the fire domain right now because it perfectly fits this mission and I'm angry, I think it should come out right now. Then I don't see why you'd have to use a mythic point or spend an action. It's just an extra cost for the ability of not having to make up your mind right away. Drama should be free, man. Just let it be free. It's fun. I just don't see the point of the mythic point or the action cost. Okay, I can see like the action cost of like realizing such horrible things are happening and suddenly gaining the power to channel healing to everyone. So maybe taking an action, I guess I could see, but I don't think it should be required. Alright. Next feat, level 14, Divine Invulnerability, 1 action. Frequency once per day. Though you are not yet a god, you can invoke a measure of omnipotence that makes you nigh invulnerable. That's a typo there. It says high invulnerable. Spend a mythic point. You gain resistance to all damage equal to half your level for 1 minute as your aura smolders with power. During this time, if you cast a domain spell you received from this destiny, this resistance increases to equal your level until the beginning of your next turn. I think that's really awesome. And at level 14, gaining resistance to half your level, I guess because it's all damage, it's good. It's a useful, good ability. I can't think of a way around using the mythic point for this because it's such a high level, but it's such a powerful ability. You gain resistance to everything. It is a really good feat, though. Next level 14 feat, Receive Prayers. This is where it loses me. Thematically. It has the additional traits of Concentrate and Mental. You open your senses so the prayers of mortals can better reach your ears. You gain a +1 status bonus to checks to sense motive, but only when attempting to ascertain hopes, prayers, wishes, and other strongly held desires of the target. You gain an even greater sense of your Hierophant's prayers, which grants you a constant status as a constant divine spell targeting your Hierophant. The spell has unlimited duration and functions at any range, including across planar boundaries, and counteracting the spell merely suppresses it until your next daily preparations, though it automatically ends if the creature stops being your Hierophant. You gain the ability to cast Breath of Life once per day as a 5th rank Divine Innate spell. You can cast the spell only on your Hierophant, and the spell has unlimited range. Your status spell typically alerts you to when your Hierophant would die. Those are awesome things. If you want a Hierophant, this is great. I think that the Receive Prayers, I guess it doesn't seem all that useful against other people. It's mostly useful for your Hierophant. So I personally don't like this feat. But that doesn't mean it's not useful or mechanically effective. It truly is. Cast Breath of Life on one specific party member that you chose beforehand. That's amazing. It's just not for me. I don't like the feel. But if you want to have a Hierophant, this is a great feat. Next feat, level 16. See, I just wish there were more options. Like, which is sad, because there's already several. But I just wish there were a few more that were super powerful like this, that didn't require the Hierophant, that felt godly. Like, you can launch blasts of holy light. Like, pick Void or Vitality, and you can just launch blasts of these things. Yeah, okay, maybe it doesn't seem like it fits being a god. But gods can generally blast things with their power. At least in older editions of the game. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. Next feat, level 16, Absolve Sins. 2 actions. It has the Concentrate and Mental traits in addition to the others. Your forgiveness is without limit, though the path to penitence can be painful, especially against those who have trespassed against your current mortal form. Spend a mythic point. Each enemy within a 30-foot emanation takes 14d6 mental damage. Basic will save against your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher, as you force them to reflect upon their sins and misdeeds. Any creature who dealt damage to you or your Hierophant since the end of your previous turn uses the outcome 1 degree of success worse than the result of their saving throw. It would be really easy to for these guys to critically fail and just take 18d6 mental damage. Or 28d6 mental damage. Which is apparently how much I took just now. This does not absolve sins. The name is wrong. It should be called Punish the Wicked. Because it's only people that are your enemy. And specifically those who have harmed you. This is not absolving sins in the slightest. That being said, it is super powerful. Yeah, it costs a mythic point. So I don't know how to do this without requiring a mythic point. Like, this is not one of those archetype feats that you could keep if you're not using the mythic system. Some of them are. A lot of them are. I guess I'd probably say spend a hero point, because it's about the same thing. It's good. It's powerful. It's named wrong. No, next feat, level 16, Font of Life or Death. As you reach ever higher in your quest to achieve true divinity, the powers of life and death flow ever more easily from you. Choose either heal or harm. You gain the chosen spell as an 8th rank innate spell you can cast 3 times per day. Damn. Your Hierophant can cast these innate spells as well by expending one of your daily uses. This is really great, and it doesn't require mythic points. I guess it makes sense for a godling, I suppose. Okay, I think I have this dilemma with it. If you've reached level 16, and you have a healer in your party, someone who is adequate at healing, You don't need this. If you are 16th level and you are in a party where you don't have someone who's good at healing, if you use these heal or harm abilities, you are not doing your other main function. Plus, I don't know how you got to level 16 without having anyone incapable of healing. I suppose in that case, if you have just roughly survived until now, and there's no one in your party who can heal, this is a really great purchase for you, because even your Hierophant can cast the healing spells. But if you already have somebody who heals, meh. And if you were already a healer, meh. So it seems like it's not commonly going to be useful. Next feat, level 16, Gird Champion. Your will manifests into divine weapons to protect and arm your followers. When you gain this feat, choose one type of weapon with special significance to you, such as a longsword or a sickle. This becomes your favored weapon. You and your Hierophant both treat this weapon as a simple weapon for the purposes of proficiency. You and your Hierophant gain the critical specialization effect of your favored weapon and deal an additional 1d6 spirit damage with strikes made with your favored weapon. If one of your current domain spells can deal a type of damage other than spirit, you can choose to match this damage type. For instance, wreathing your weapon in sacred ashes that deal fire damage if you have the fire domain. This is just wonderful. And I love that you can pick just any weapon. Like, I was contemplating taking it with my NPC, who is just a witch, but he likes his gun. Because it's fun. It's intimidating and distracting. He would make a dueling pistol his favorite weapon. But see, the thing with this is, it's rarely going to help both the Godling and the Hierophant. Like, this doesn't seem to fit. Like, you're going to take this if it helps your Hierophant? Why? Then you're wasting your own feat. And if it doesn't help your Hierophant, then what else could it do instead of that? There just need to be more options here instead of chaining you to somebody else. Next feat, level 18, pass Vengeful Judgment. One action, it's sanctified. Frequency once per day, requirements your Hierophant invoked your judgment on their previous turn. It says see text. To prevent yourself from frivolously calling down the terrible power of divine wrath, you have vowed to do so only with the assent of your mortal Hierophant. What? Why? Like, you can't control yourself? What kind of a god are you gonna be then? Why wouldn't you frivolously call terrible power down? Why would you restrict yourself to when your friend says, hey, you should do it now? I mean, this implies that your wisdom is shit, because you don't know when you should do things.
Tolo, will you tell me when I should hit guys? I need to know when to hit people in the face.
If your Hierophant successfully strikes a target, they can spend a single action to invoke your wrath. So they have to spend an action after they hit. On your turn, you can then pass Vengeful Judgment on the target, calling down a Scouring Pillar of Divine Energy that deals 20d10 spear damage with a basic Fortitude save. Holy fuck. That's an insane amount of damage. I mean, sure, it's 18th level, so it should be pretty high. That's insane. And it doesn't require a mythic point, but it does require codependency. It's just weird. You do not need to have line of effect to the target, and it functions at any range. If one of your current domain spells can deal a type of damage other than spirit, you can choose to match this damage type. For instance, calling down a flaming pillar that deals fire damage if you have the fire domain. If you spend a mythic point as part of passing your Vengeful Judgment, the blast extends into the heavens, scattering the clouds in a detonation visible to all creatures within a 10-mile radius as a show of wrath and a warning to those who would dare harm your followers or question your commandments. For the next month, you and your Hierophant gain a +2 status bonus to intimidation checks against creatures in the area. Is it really worth a mythic point to get +2 to intimidation checks? No? Like, that's a silly secondary effect. And, like, why do you have to rely on your Hierophant? Just make it once per day. You can do this big, giant explosion thing. Why do you need support from someone else? Like, you're so weak-willed, somebody else has to cheer you on? Yeah, you can do it! Okay. It's silly. It doesn't need to be silly. Unlink these things from the Hierophant. Next feat, level 18, Sanctified Relic. You fill an item with your divine power, granting the wearer your blessings. When you take this feat, choose 2 attributes, one of which must be your key attribute, as your divine attributes, and either holy or unholy sanctification. One of the 2 choices has to be wisdom or charisma. If you have the holy or unholy trait through a class feature or other ability, you must choose that same trait. As part of your daily preparations, you can touch one worn magical item that doesn't have the apex trait. It gains the apex trait until your next daily preparations, and increases the modifier of one of your divine attributes, chosen during your preparations, by 1 or to a total of +4, whichever is higher. In addition, the item grants the wearer the holy or unholy trait as chosen by you. A character can benefit from only 1 apex item at a time as normal. You can't wear this apex item, but your Hierophant can. If you spend 1 mythic point when you create this apex item, it increases the wearer's modifiers of both of your divine attributes by 1 or to a total of +4, whichever is higher. This is an exception to the usual limit for apex items. It's again a feat that's super high level that doesn't help you at all. It helps your friend. What? Why? Like, can't you make 2 copies of this relic? And then you can both use it? Because that would be really cool. In fact, I think I would just change it to do that. Who cares? You're a god. What? What? Take an 18th level feat to give your friend +1 to a stat they don't care about, and +1 to a stat that you have to choose that they do care about. Wonderful. That's just kind of crap. Next feat, level 18, Stymie the Gods. 2 actions. It's an aura. Frequency once per hour. By exerting your will as a nascent god present in the mortal realms, you can hold off the influences of most distant entities, even ones much older and more powerful than yourself. Either you or your Hierophant are able to use this action. When either of you do, you both gain a +2 status bonus to armor class and saving throws against divine spells, as well as the spells, strikes, and abilities of extraplanar creatures for 3 rounds. It doesn't specify what extraplanar creatures are. Okay. This benefit affects both you and your Hierophant, even if you are on separate planes of existence when this ability is used. If a mythic point is spent by the individual using Stymie the Gods, the bonus increases to +4, and the effects last for 10 minutes. It says once per hour. It's not both you and your Hierophant can use it once per hour. It's either of you could, once. I mean, this is a great bonus. It could sometimes be extremely useful. It is status, though, and at 18th level, you probably have other sources of status bonuses to AC and or saving throws, and it's only against divine sources, including extraplanar creatures. I wouldn't take it, because it's only sometimes useful. There are going to be some cases with some builds, some groups, that this will be useful on, but it's not the majority. And so that was a level 18 feat. Sanctified Relic was a level 18 feat, and Past Vengeful Judgment was a level 18 feat. So all 3 of these abilities are linked to your Hierophant. The Stymie the Gods doesn't have to be the Hierophant, but the other 2 do have to be for your Hierophant, or involve your Hierophant as part of the necessity of being able to use the ability. And those are the selections for 18th level feats. Just don't like it. There should be more, like, there should be super powerful level 18 useful feats for just you. Okay. Level 20 feat, Assume Godhood. This has the dedication trait. I believe that is an accident, because it is not a new dedication. You complete your apotheosis into living godhood, allowing you to empower more followers. You can serve as the deity for classes with a deity feature, such as clerics, empowering them to cast divine spells with their class features. When you serve as the deity in this way, you can provide any aspect of a deity stat block, such as domains or a favored weapon, that you yourself have acquired from a godling feat. In addition, you can choose one skill you are legendary in to act as your divine skill, and your divine attributes include your key attribute and one other attribute of your choosing. When you assume godhood, choose 3 spells from any list other than the divine list. One must be first rank, one must be second rank, and one must be third rank, and one must... Wow. When you assume godhood, choose 3 spells from any list other than the divine list. One must be first rank, one must be second or third rank, and one can be of any rank. These spells become additional cleric spells you can grant to your followers. You gain the intercession spell ability, allowing you to directly provide the magic that your Hierophant uses to enact their miracles. Your miracles. Intercession spell. Reaction, Divine Concentrate Spell Shape, frequency once per day, trigger, your Hierophant casts a spell. Effect, interceding directly in your Hierophant's affairs, you grant them additional magic. They do not expend the spell slot, usage, or focus point. That's cool. For your friend. If you die after assuming godhood, only your mortal body perishes, and you continue your existence as a deity, watching over the universe from afar. In this deific form, you cannot move, act, or speak normally, though you still grant spells to your followers and can perceive and affect them using your godling abilities like receive prayers or intercession spell, regardless of range. If you need to take more direct action in creation, you can descend to the universe and incarnate yourself into a mortal body of your choosing within 1 mile of one of your followers or a holy site relevant to your faith, which has the same statistics and abilities that you had before you died. This new body can have any appearance you wish, but typically retains at least one feature important to your divine iconography, such as eye color, a scar, or a unique birthmark. You can incarnate yourself as often as you like, but repeated direct intercessions in the affairs of mortals typically attract the attention and sanction of older and more established deities. Okay, so you can come back as anything, and I think this is the best of all of the you can't die parts of the capstones of the Mythic Destinies. And while you are dead, all those abilities you have, you still keep them when you come back to life. It's not like you lose this archetype. Whereas a couple of the other other Mythic Destinies are, you come back as first level. This one isn't. This is the best of all of them. However, the only benefits to you directly of Assume Godhood are you can come back if you die. At level 20, you could have paid an NPC to cast Resurrect on you if you die. There are other ways to come back as well. You don't have to do this. And it helps your Hierophant, and it makes you have a social network of followers. I see the most useful part of this as being it's a social feat. It helps you roleplay better. It helps you become the head of a church. Or just thumb your nose at Razmir. It's not boring, but it's not useful. Not for you as the one taking the feat, as a few of them in this archetype are. I just don't like that this archetype, this Mythic Destiny, doesn't have more options. Why, if I'm a deity, do I have to rely on other people? I mean, it's already been said in Golarion that, and it says it in this book, actually in Divine Mysteries, that the gods aren't empowered by mortals. They don't have to have mortals to exist. Otherwise, Rovagog wouldn't exist anymore, wouldn't be a threat. Or not much of one. I don't like that it slots you into one expectation of deity. It's not very godly to me. It's not very flexible. If you're omnipotent, you wouldn't be restricted to these things. And you are. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a patron. I'm sure I'm going to have some arguments in the comments, and that's important. That's what this is for. We need to talk about this stuff. I don't expect you all to agree with me. I also don't expect that you will all disagree with me. Yes, you're a good kitty. I'm owned by cats. I did that without thinking. Anyway, if you want to be a patron, you can go to the link in the description for Patreon. We give away, if you're a $5 member or more of Patreon, then we do dice giveaways every month. This one's the next one coming up. It's just a freaking giant D20 jar. This thing's awesome. It's so pretty. Ooh. Yeah, I know, guys. Oh, man. If you want to join the Discord to cuss me out or to talk about builds and how to make stuff in Pf2, please go to the Discord link in the description. So many kitties. Who had a piece of thread? Why did you guys have a piece of thread? You don't need that. No. If you want to see more from More of Immortals, here. If you want to see Divine Mystery stuff, here. Thank you for joining me. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.